Tired of the endless melee? Ready to sneak up on your enemies and annihilate them from afar? Do you prefer A. Invisible mushroom exploding satellites, B. The number 4, C. Double lift or Uzi, D. Snakes? Go for it in patch 10.12, the all-new TFT experience. Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. Today we're going to be talking about patch 10.12's prevalent comps and why they've been so successful. Make sure to play these comps when you can, and you will definitely rise in rank. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance for a top 4 finish, netting you that sweet, sweet LP. Positioning, items, and scouting are still your most important tools in this game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. In this video, we'll talk about each comp, a general playstyle guide, look at items they use, and their positioning. This patch is fairly balanced, so we will also have an honorable mention section at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that we have a Discord community and a new subreddit that is growing really fast. We have you all to thank for that, and we want to continue building our community and helping you be a part of it. So make sure you check the link in the description below. With all that said, let's dive right into our top comp for 10.11, and it is Cybernetics. They made it to the top again! With their new gang member, Vayne, they have patched their iffy mid to late game transition and created a safeguard against the Echo waiting room lose condition. There are many flexible ways of playing Cybers in the mid and late game, so make sure you practice it. It is the most stable comp in this patch, netting you top 4s and wins all the time. Starting with playstyle, Cybernetics can be strong throughout the game. In the early game, you focus on getting your 3 Cybers. Make sure you spread items and do not stack on Vayne, though the temptation is high. It's much easier to hit 3 Cybers now, since there's another 3-cost one you can high roll. Win streaking Cybers is still important, so make sure you combine your Cybers with the best support units you can. Those include Jace, Graves, Caitlyn or Ashe, Nautilus, and Blitzcrank. Of course, if you get 4-cost stuff like Gnar or Wukong, they are welcome to the party as well. You want to get your 6 Cybers in at level 7 or 8, and then start going to level 9 to find your Echo. Your endgame comp includes a 2-star Thresh pulling in Urgots, since they cast immediately upon entering the arena. Best galaxies to play Cybers in are Treasure Trove and Galactic Armory, due to the extra fee items, and Super Dense due to FON being extremely synergistic with their trait. Positioning for this comp is very modern, I should say. It's all about social distancing. You see, Cybers don't really like each other, so spacing them out works really well, both in the early and late game. The comp looks something like this. There are many variations to the comp, like slotting in snipers to buff Vayne's damage. If you don't have red buff, you can slot in Vanguard and replace Lucian with Leona, etc. Play the build that best suits your situation, since all Cyber builds are quite strong right now. Looking at items needed for this comp, there are no items needed for this comp. Red buff is a good start, but after its nerf, it's definitely not a must. Infinity Edge / Last Whisper combo is amazing on Vayne early or Irelia late. Giant Slayer is also a strong item on Vayne and Echo. The most important part to remember is to have a healthy mix of support and defensive items, and to spread them amongst your Cybers, or you're wasting the trait. You usually want your Echo items on Lucian unless he has red buff. You can also wait to give Echo items from the full item carousels, and Kayn having itemized the rest of your units along the way. That's it about new Cybers. The build started out uncontested, but there seems to be 2 to 3 Cyber players in each lobby now. It's a build that more than one person can go, but try to pivot if you see too many people going. The next comp we're going to showcase is ASTRO Snipers. We hit the nail on the head on that prediction, and ASTRO Snipers are taking the TFT world by storm. Teemo and his gang are here to make things explode, either one by one or all together. That is what Snipers were missing, some AoE to help soften those front lines. And Teemo can soften them alright. The focus is on dual carry of Jhin and Teemo, but Jhin items are more important. Teemo's scaling is much better, and his spell is actually useful. He also essentially gets an item by getting Astro, so he's less of an itemization priority. Make sure your front line has some items to protect you as well. Caitlyn will carry your Jhin's items, and you can put the Teemo stuff on a sorcerer or a frontliner like Jace until you hit the Little Devil. The main differentiation you have control over with this comp is whether you go 4 snipers or 2. The 4 snipers comp is best at level 9 because then you can slot in Chrono, Mystic, Dark Star, Vanguard, Astro, and Celestial at the same time, making for optimal power levels. If you find yourself falling behind or have a FON, since the comp does not really require 5-cost units outside of Lulu, you can go 2 snipers and even go for 4 mystics or other useful techs that your lobby requires. Positioning is fairly straightforward here. This is a simple frontline backline comp, taking advantage of the sniper trait. You want your enemies to be as far away as possible. It's important to not be afraid of getting hit by infiltrators. Unless they one-shot your Jhin, he will usually kill whatever he is hitting before they kill him, then turn on them and one-shot them instead. Counter positioning, while clunky, can still be effective with this comp. Make sure you pay attention to it to turn that top 4 into a top 1. The 4 snipers comp looks like this. Jhin items are full of swords, even though he uses a gun. Typical League stuff, really. His best defensive item is Guardian Angel, though Trap Claw is not bad. For offensive items, you want a combination of Infinity Edge, Giant Slayer, and Last Whisper. If you go Last Whisper, you really want to go Infinity Edge because it's not as good with Giant Slayer. Teemo items are classic AP stuff like Rabadon's or Morello. The most core item is probably Blue Buff to make him ult as much as possible. The AP can be scrounged together later after you itemize your front line a bit. As an extra tip for that first place, Redemption is close to being a core item for this comp. The extra healing comes in clutch, as all that comp needs is a little bit of time and it will annihilate your opponents. That's it for snipers. This is a comp that, while discovered, is not ridiculously contested, with 4 people going at every lobby. If you get the items, go for it early, and it's fairly easy to pivot to something else if you don't hit the units themselves. Good candidates for pivoting are Cybers and Blasters, or even Sorcerers if you get the Teemo part of the items. Yep, the last comp name is a bit long. We'll call it Snake for now, since Cassiopeia takes her rightful place as the first carry mystic since Set 2 Master Yi. This comp plays in a variety of ways. Let's dive right into how to play it and why it's so strong. Its playstyle resembles a slow roll comp at times, but it actually wants to go to level 9 for its perfect state. It includes the usual 4 Vanguards, 4 Mystics, with Jace being the premier item target and Wukong close behind. The real important unit, though, is Cassiopeia, who will slowly erode your enemy's will to live with her ability spamming. Her AI is quite smart, so she will not target the same person again and again. With this build, you generally level at normal times to 6 and 7, gathering your 4 Vanguards and finding Cassio and Karma. You can use a DPS unit like Caitlyn or Vayne to help you through the early game. Double Sorcerers are also a good fit for the early comp, giving your tanks the damage boost to win some rounds. You can take a pause from leveling at 7 if you're losing, or at 8 if you're winning, to make sure all your units are 2-starred and ready for action. The huge boost in tanky stats from 1-star to 2-star is quite important for the comp to work. The final piece for the comp to be perfect is Battlecast. Cassiopeia will heal for a metric ton when below 50% HP and deal extra damage by the gallon when above with the trait, since her spell is a dot plus Morello's, which means a lot of damage instances. You usually want Urgot, but Victor is a good replacement until you get the Metal Crab. If you're not facing a lot of magic damage, going 3 Mystics on 8 and getting that Battlecast in is often better. You can slow roll for Jace and Cassio 3-star as a win more condition, but only do so if relatively uncontested. Since you want to go 9, using too many turns to roll might eventually hurt you. Cassiopeia actually has fairly short range, so positioning is important. Unless you get RFC on her, in which case you just backline her. Your Vanguards take the usual frontline array, but you have to scout your opponents constantly. Cassiopeia's 420 range will make her walk into things like mech, opponent, Jaces, etc. Make sure you think about how she will move every turn after you decide on her position. The final comp looks like this if Cassiopeia does not have RFC. Items for this comp are extremely important. Your win rate will drop drastically if you don't have Blue Buff and Morellonomicon on Cassiopeia. That's why you always start Tier or Rod for this comp, preferably Tier. The rest of the items can be anything, preferring items like Ionic Spark, Bramble Vest, and Dragon Claw for Jace, and so on. The first Cassiopeia item can be RFC, QSS, Trap Claw, or even Protector Spatula, which she synergizes quite well with since Urgot is in there too. This comp is quite spammable and has been the go-to for many top-ranked players around the world. Make sure to give it a try and you will not be disappointed. With the increase of the 3-cost pool to 18, and since the comp's 2 most important units are 3-costs, it is fairly safe to go for even when contested by 2 other people. Go for it and bring that LP home. Now for a little update on the rest of the comps and the honorable mentions that did not make the top 3 list. Sorcerer, Riven, and GP is an amazing comp that just barely got outshined by the novelty of snakes. We consider it an equal power comp at least. It revolves around carry, Riven, and GP, or both, including a Xerath or Urgot every now and then. The comp is actually quite flexible in its carries and items, built around its 4 to 6 Sorcerer core. Brawler Blasters is the second honorable mention, losing a bit of its luster. The comp suffers a lot in the mid-game, which used to be its strongest point. It's still possible to top 4 with the comp relatively consistently, but it's difficult to win with it anymore. Kog'Maw is too vulnerable, and Jinx does not do enough damage in this heavy tank meta, finding it difficult to turn on. Protector Aurelion Sol is the comp everyone is talking about. However, it is a spatula-only comp, so even though it is extremely powerful, it does not make the top 3 due to inconsistency. You cannot guarantee a spatula. The Thresh-Urgot combo Cybernetics pulls off is quite a good counter to the comp as well, or any Urgot comp for that matter. That's it for this video. We will be uploading every week on Wednesday and Sunday. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out our TFT content on YouTube and our high elo coaches on ProGuides.com. If you have feedback for us, comment below and we'll be happy to read what you have to say. Now get out there and farm some LP using the comps you saw here today.